Hi everyone, this is Pastor Dan from Calvary Chapel, Cle Elum in Washington. It's been 5 weeks since we started talking about children and fathers walking worthy from Ephesians 6, 1-4. Now we've come to part 6, which is our final installment. It's about the family and how the family should function as it should, where Paul speaks directly to children and to fathers. Again, I'll read the passage to you and then we'll get into the last part of this little study that we're doing on the family. Okay? Ephesians 6, 1-4. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, that it may be well with you and you may live long on the earth. And you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. So, the home that is walking worthy is one where children obey and honor their parents. And in addition to that, the home that is walking worthy is one where fathers are nurturing their children in the Lord. In the first 4 parts of this, we talked about the importance of children honoring their parents and how children can go about doing this. Then last week in part 5, we began to speak to the fathers and by extension the mothers too. Fathers are told not to provoke their children. Then we talked about ways that we can provoke them. First, inconsistent discipline can be something that provokes them. Second, too many rules can be something that provokes them. And third, making rules out of the heat of the battle can provoke them. Now we come to the 4th point. Over-discipline can be something that provokes our children to wrath. Let's not be reactionaries to the world. That only causes extremes. Let's just be biblical disciplinarians. Let's not use sledgehammers to drive thumbtacks. And let's not use a garden shovel when a bulldozer is needed. All offenses are not the same, and they shouldn't be treated the same. Not cleaning your room is different from punching a brother in the nose. Kids need to be given an opportunity to share their side of the story without being shouted down and interrupted. Not backtalk, but explanation. And parents need to listen attentively and respond accordingly. Otherwise, we discourage communication in the future. We need to be able to distinguish between the negotiable issues and the non-negotiable issues. We need to point out the good as well as the bad. And let's not underestimate the value of the rod, or in our day and age, the paddle. Proverbs 13:24 talks about this. It says, "He who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him promptly." And Proverbs 23:13 says, "Do not withhold correction from a child, for if you beat him with a rod, he will not die." Now, some people are very uptight about this verse because it talks about beating your child with a rod. But it's not talking about beating someone to within an inch of their lives. The word also means simply to strike or hit, or it could describe a controlled spanking on the bottom side of the child. Dr. Dobson, if my memory serves me well, emphasized that spanking should be reserved for repeated instances of rebellion against parental authority. Most people agree that spanking is not abuse when it's done with a level head, a loving heart, proper instruction, and the affirmation of love. Never spank in anger or in the heat of the moment. Only spank when you are completely in control of your emotions, and only after explaining the offense and the reason for the spanking, and then only do it in private. Determine beforehand the number of swats based on the severity of the offense, and let your child know how many swats there will be. Maybe 1 swat for a more minor offense, and up to 3 swats for more major offenses. And when it's all over, pray for your child and make sure there are plenty of hugs and love, and let your child know that all is forgiven and restoration is complete. So again, spank with a level head, a loving heart, proper instruction, and the affirmation of love. You see, giving our kids this biblical consideration and love is how we submit to our kids. This idea that kids should be seen and not heard is not right. Nor is it right that we treat them like slaves instead of valued members of the family. Yes, they are children and they are immature, and we do need to mold them into responsible members of society, but we can do this with respect and love, and when necessary, with the proper application of discipline. We don't let our kids walk all over us, but we do give them the consideration and love that we should while we parent them in the ways of the Lord. Accordingly, Paul issues a strong, positive exhortation to conclude this section. Dads, instead of provoking your kids, train them up in the things of the Lord. The origin of that word train may surprise you. Disciplining them is the literal meaning. That word is identical to the one in Hebrews 12:6, where it says, "Because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as a son." As a result, parental guidance and punishment are essential. In addition to reprimanding, encouraging, and correcting the children as needed, a spanking or two may be administered on occasion. Dads, you're the one in charge of chastening, or to put it another way, you are training your children to follow Jesus. A while back, some of the 9th and 10th grade pupils in Ramsey County, Minnesota were asked about their dads. The question posed to them was, what images do you conjure up when you hear the word dad? On either end of the scale, responses arrived instantly. On one extreme, someone noted, I think of the word jerk. Angry, furious, and missing were some of the other words that came to mind. Conversely, a few of the 9th and 10th graders said, I think of wholeness, kindness, security, safety. Dad is a very potent word. The fact that we have an ideal example in God, I think, is a fantastic thing. Our Father is generous and gives His life for us. So that we can achieve our full potential, He sacrificed Himself. He provides for us, guides us, trains us, and corrects us when we stray. He continues to push us toward greater grace and love, and He never gives up on us. He's always there when we need Him. He's dependable, steady, faithful, and unchanging. Fathers and mothers, we sometimes don't get it right at home. We are fallible. We utter careless words, and we execute careless deeds. Still, God is willing to pardon us as well. We can count on His assistance and His support. Until the dust settles and our grown children reflect on their formative years, we can't expect from them an impartial assessment of our parenting skills. After all, no parent is flawless. However, we shouldn't wait until that point to start realizing our lack and seeking to make the changes that we need to make right now. When we fail our kids, we need to confess it to our kids, and we need to ask them for forgiveness. Then we need to bless them, hug them, and love them in Jesus' name. And pray that they'll grow up to be godly men and women, just like we want to be as well. So once again, I hope this has been an encouragement to you. If it has, would you do me a favor and click the like button and maybe share an encouraging word in the comments section? And please, would you share this with somebody that you think might benefit from it? There's a lot of parents out there that I think probably could. And if you're watching on the Calvary Chapel Cle Elum YouTube channel, would you subscribe to the channel? And if you're in the Cle Elum area and you don't have a home church, Would you consider joining us on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 417 East Railroad Avenue in Cle Elum, Washington? Again, this is Pastor Dan from Calvary Chapel, Cle Elum. Thanks for joining me today. May God bless you and keep you. And until we're able to get together next week, my prayer is that all of our families will be more consistent in walking according to the plan that God has for each of us. In Jesus' name.